I've been waiting 20 years to do this. Those were the words spoken by 35-year-old Paul Merhige as he methodically worked his way through murdering multiple family members at a Thanksgiving gathering in 2009. The question on everyone's mind was, how could a well-liked, smart, driven, family-oriented young man turn into the vicious killer of the family he claimed to love so much? Welcome to Macabre Storytime, where I tell my friends the weirdest, most brutal, spine-tingliest cases they've never heard of. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. I'm Sarah.
I'm Rhonda.
And we're here for this.
Riveting story.
Huh?
It's going to be a riveting story.
I think so. Do you know what today is?
Figuratively, or do I know what story we're doing?
No, do you know what today is, as in when this is going to be out live?
Oh, Thanksgiving.
Yes, this is our Thanksgiving episode, which also means we are going to be on vacation together.
First time since 2020. I said that weird.
You did say that weird.
For the first time
Yes.
since 2020, and we have Piper with us this time.
Right. The first time ever with the three of us.
Yes.
On a vacation.
It'll be fun.
It will be. I hope. Hopefully we are living it up as this is flooding people's ears.
Yes. Think of us, roaming around the Gulf Shores.
The Gulf of Gulf Shores. Yeah, that's the place.
I was going to say the Gulf of Mexico, but I mean, either one works. But
if we're at the beach, hopefully it's not too cold. Because I looked this up when we were talking about going on vacation for Thanksgiving, and I saw that the temperature is still in the 70s. So
yeah, the air temperature is not going to be cold, but the water temperature will be cold. So I doubt there's going to be
colder.
There's not going to be any swimming. I doubt.
Who knows? Maybe it'll be. Today the high is in the 50s. Yesterday it was in the 80s.
Yes.
So you never know. Weather be tripping.
It is. I had a thing going on with my air conditioner when I turned on the heat a couple weeks ago. That my heat was only going into my garage. It wasn't coming in the house. I'm like, oh, this is fantastic.
So that's where you need it.
Right. I really need to heat up that garage. That's the most important part.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I'm like, why? I'm like, it's getting hot. I can feel it, but it's not coming in the house. Kevin looked at it and he's like, the vents are not blocked. Nothing's going on. But the AC unit outside was still running. I'm like, how is that working? So we pulled the fuse from the air conditioner. Suddenly it's working. So then I had to have him come over and put the fuse back in yesterday so I could turn the air back on because I'm like, it's hot in here.
Yeah, the other day, because yesterday was in the 80s, but the couple of days before that were in the 70s. And we don't turn and this is just because of Frank, not because of me. If it were up to me, it'd be at 75 all the time. But we don't turn our air conditioner on until it is a little bit warmer. And we just try to use if I just have a fan on me, I'm usually fine. But I need the fan. So right. I was like, can you bring the fan out of the bedroom and bring it out here to the dining room? And he's just like, it's not that hot. And I'm like, just fucking do it.
I ask you to do it. Now do it. Yeah. The few days that was warmer, I was okay. I had my windows open, nice cross breeze, whatever. Yesterday, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. It's too freaking hot.
Oh no. I had the fan on the past 2 nights when we went to bed. And you know what? You're just going to deal with it because you do not want to deal with me being pissy because I'm hot.
And can't sleep.
Because that will happen.
Yes.
If I'm so hot I am having trouble sleeping, that means he's going to have trouble sleeping because he's the worst sleeper in the world. And if I'm tossing and turning and huffing because I'm upset that I can't sleep, he's not getting any sleep either. So
this is affecting you too.
Right? Which one is it? But anyways. Enough of that. Are you ready to get into this case that is wild?
I am. Let's go.
It's a wild ride, and not in a good way.
It usually isn't.
Not in I was going to say in a Thelma and Louise way, but at the end of the day, that wasn't necessarily a good way either. They killed themselves.
Yeah.
Anyways, It's not a wild ride like you're seeing The Mummy for the first time.
Love that movie.
That's a good way, because that's an amazing movie. Or the 500th time.
I mean, every time is like the first because it's amazing.
Yeah.
I got someone to watch, and she listens to this, so shout out to you, Stormy. I got her to watch The Emperor's New Groove the other day.
Nice. Best. Don't fight me on this because it's fucking true. Best Disney movie ever.
It's very underrated.
Absolutely. It's perfection.
It is awesome.
Is what it is. Anyways, way on a tangent talking about Disney movies. This is not going to evoke
Murder to Disney. How did that train go? I don't know, but
this isn't going to evoke any thoughts of Disney at all.
Probably not. No. Well, we started talking about Mummy, then I thought of their mother of my favorite movies, and I can't speak today because
Did you say the mother of your favorite movies? Because that's what it sounded like.
It was a mixture of two words, so it probably came out like that.
Okay.
So yeah,
sure. Anyways, it's Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you're stuffed or you're preparing to be stuffed. One of the two. Hopefully your Thanksgiving goes a hell of a lot better than this family's Thanksgiving.
I mean, they're on this show, so hopefully.
So obviously
it's probably not a good thing.
Something not good's coming their way. So let's just go to it. Thanksgiving of 2009. So not too terribly long ago. 14 years, to be exact.
Happened in this century.
Feels like it should be talking about the 90s, but whatever. Right. Another story. Paul, and this is the name I sent you, because I was like, how would you pronounce this? Because I was pronouncing it this way, and Google said it that way, and then Frank actually had a good idea for once, and he suggested I go on Facebook and find someone with this last name, and you know how people can put, like, the phonetic spelling of their names, like sounding it out phonetically, and see what that says. And I was like, holy shit, you had a good idea. You had a good idea. Good job, honey. Usually it's him saying something stupid, and I'm like, God, it's a good thing you're pretty. To which he always responds, okay. But so I did that, and it came out similar to what Google was telling me. And I told you it's going to be hard for me because in my head, I was saying it a completely different way. So now I have to adjust.
So you're going to be saying it, you're going to be trying to say it one way.
I'm going to attempt to say it through my mouth the correct way.
Okay.
Hopefully I am correct. And I'm sorry if I'm not, because it's not Jackson, but or Feldposh like yours. Very simple.
It is not Feldposh.
D. There's no D.
There is no D in the name though.
It's a small D.
It's a small D. It's a little D.
It's a little baby D. Anyways, anyway.
We have an RM and his last name is Seltzer and his first name is like Brian or something like that. So it always reminds me of your mom. It's B Seltzer. So
did you tell him to get rid of my name immediately?
Every time I see his name on something, I'm like, I have to think about it.
Beverly?
You
Ma?
worked at the bank?
Mom, is that you?
You worked at the bank? You didn't tell me?
Yeah, I thought you were retired. Anyway.
Secrets.
So, wow, we're just all over the place today. So hopefully I am saying this correctly. I know you hate that I say this all the time, but eventually it'll lead to some internet hate.
Yeah, this is what you're going to get hate on.
Probably. People nitpick over everything.
I think they can figure out other things to nitpick you on besides the pronunciation of a last name.
Those things and the pronunciation of a last name.
Oh, it's, combined. All these other things.
Yeah.
Plus that.
Clearly you don't listen to podcasts because the ones I listen to, they'll say something and they'll be like, hopefully I said that right. If I don't, I'll find out. Like the moment this goes out, I'll hear about it. We'll get 500 emails telling us we pronounced it wrong. It's usually like, either names or like city names. Like the St. Louis thing I told you about. They kept saying St. Louis, and I was just in my head was like St. Louis. St. Louis. St. Louis.
But anyway, what's this name that you're trying to say?
But as I was saying, they got several emails telling them that it is in fact St. Louis.
There is an S at the end.
There is an S.
And it is pronounced.
It is.
In Missouri.
It's not like
Missouri,
it's
not
not like
Missouri.
Right. It's not like Illinois with
The
No.
silent S.
No S sound. Anyways, okay, we're back. We're veering back into our lane. Thanksgiving 2009.
We're all over the place
We
in this
are
one.
just, it's like that episode of Seinfeld where Kramer adopted a mile stretch of highway and he decided to make it cozier. And instead of being a 4-lane highway, he was going to make it a 2-lane highway. So you had like a first class level room of space to drive in. And Elaine was going down the highway at that point, and she was like, "Ooh, so luxurious." She was like veering from side to side of her giant lane. Kind of like that. That's what we've been doing.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Anyway,
If you're still here, this is the story for today.
if you are hanging with us 10 minutes in, we are going to Thanksgiving of 2009, finally. And we are joining Paul Merhige, I believe is what I said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I told you, in my head, I'm still saying it the other way. Paul Merhige had been asking his parents for days about plans for Thanksgiving of 2009. They informed him that the extended family was gathering at Paul's cousin Muriel's house, but Paul never committed to attending. So his parents never told Muriel and her husband, Jim Sitton, that he might be coming. I mean, seems normal. I mean, I would have maybe mentioned it. Like, Paul was asking questions, but he never said yes or no. But, just no way. I would have probably said something, but they didn't. And this is not to poo-poo on them that they didn't. Just
in your situation, you would have. In their situation, you would have done it differently.
Right. But I'm overly cautious about things like that. I'm overly communicative.
Yes.
Their son, Paul, who had been estranged from most of the family for years, rarely ever came to family functions. So clearly no one was expecting him.
Right. If you never come, why would we expect you to come now?
Exactly. I mean, he was asking questions for some crazy reason, but he never said, "I'm interested in coming," or anything like it. So I wouldn't expect anyone to think he was going to come. But Paul called his mother, Carol, on Thanksgiving to tell her that he was on his way.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Mom.
Great.
On my way.
That's great, son. Nice
Okay.
to see ya. Now, Carol immediately had a horrifying thought that she shared with one of her daughters, Lisa. She said, "I hope he doesn't come and kill us all tonight." Yeah. Now,
Why would you say that?
Here's my question.
Is that really, were you really that estranged?
Apparently. But here's the thing. Did you say, "Hope he doesn't come kill us all tonight"? Or were you like, "Oh God, I hope he doesn't come kill us all tonight"? Like it makes a difference.
It does make a difference.
But she said this to Lisa, her daughter, who responded, "Mom, it came to mind, but don't say that to Dad because Dad would get upset that we had such ideas." Which leads me to believe that she wasn't necessarily like, "Ha ha ha, hope he doesn't kill us all, finger guns, bing, bing, bing."
Right. I mean, that sounds like it. They really thought that was a possibility.
Yeah, scary.
Yeah. I've never had someone randomly show up at a holiday function and like, "Oh God, this person's coming, we're dead."
Yeah, we might die tonight. Everybody. That's horrifying to think of. But unfortunately, the mother-daughter pair were more right than they knew. On November 26th, 2009, 35-year-old Paul Merhige joined 17 relatives at his cousin Muriel Sitton's upscale gated community home in Jupiter, Florida.
Of course, it was in a fancy neighborhood.
Of course, for Thanksgiving dinner. The evening went well. There was no arguing, no fighting, like a normal Thanksgiving. And, though none of that happened, Paul's behavior was a little strange in like a different sense. He sat quietly at the table. Not that he didn't speak at all, but he was just kind of sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't eat anything, which even when I was 2 months out from my stomach surgery, I still ate some stuff at Thanksgiving.
Right. It's Thanksgiving.
If you're eating nothing at Thanksgiving, I'm going to immediately assume you're there to kill everybody.
That's your first go-to.
Yeah. Why the fuck aren't you eating?
Maybe it's the second Thanksgiving and he already went to another.
Okay, why aren't you eating?
Why are you giving me that?
That's literally what Thanksgiving is for. You go to Thanksgiving 1 with one side of the family, which he's not married, but whatever. You eat some stuff, and then you go to Thanksgiving 2 and you eat other stuff. And you tend to eat more at your side's Thanksgiving.
Yes, because you're more comfortable with your people.
Also,
usually
the food is typically like what you prefer. Because, you know, I'm always like, my mom's stuffing better than literally any other stuffing in the world. You can fight me on this. And then Frank was like, I think our moms make their stuffing kind of similar. And then he's mentioned the words stovetop that his mom used. And I was like, whoa, back it up. My mother does not use stovetop. I was like, this is a hand-crafted batch of stuffing that uses both cornbread and white bread. And then she mixes it all together and she's tasting it raw to make sure it has the right amount of sage. So don't you dare compare her stuffing to stovetop.
How dare you, Frank?
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with stovetop, but it cannot begin to touch my mother's
It doesn't
stuffing.
compare.
Which is why I will have stuffing at my house if we were doing the split Thanksgiving thing. And maybe a little at the other house, but not nearly as much as at my parents' house.
I'm going to fill up on my mom's stuffing.
Yeah.
I'll have a little spoonful of yours.
We'll just try it. Just try it.
Just to see.
After dinner, the family adjourned to the living room. I wrote living room. I'm assuming it's the living room. A different room.
Living room, family room, somewhere to sit down and relax.
Well, it's a place where they had a piano. So I'm going to just say living room. I don't know. A different room, a piano room, where they played the piano and they sang some Christmas songs together.
Oh, how cute.
Which, that is the appropriate time to start playing Christmas music. Not as it was the other day at Walgreens where they're already playing Christmas music the day after Thanksgiving or Halloween or whatever day it was. I was like, what the fuck is this? Day after Thanksgiving, people. Day after Thanksgiving. Strong feelings.
Apparently.
Yeah. So they're appropriately singing Christmas songs after Thanksgiving dinner, except Paul, of course, who sat quietly in the room, but he did not join in on the festivities. Now, after some singing, a little dance, and a recitation from a prayer book, Michaela Sitton, the 6-year-old daughter and only child of the hosts, was put to bed. She did like a little dance from like an upcoming recital or something to like, you know, show the fam.
Mm-hmm.
They were singing. She did this little, you know, recited this little prayer. She goes to bed.
Typical for a young child to go to bed before
Everyone else.
everything.
Yeah. Now it's time for the real party.
Kids asleep. Let's go.
Around 10 p.m., Paul excused himself and went outside to his car. He returned with a gun and immediately started firing upon his family. He first shot his 33-year-old sister, Carla Merhige, before turning the gun on Carla's twin sister, Lisa Knight, who Mom talked to earlier in the night, who, by the way, was pregnant at the time.
Oh, okay. 2 for 1.
Both of Paul's sisters and his unborn niece or nephew were now dead. Next, Paul shot his brother-in-law, Patrick Knight, which obviously would be Lisa's husband, in the stomach. Patrick needed to be placed in a medically induced coma for 3 months. Yeah. Doctors weren't... I'm saying yeah because you're shaking your head.
Yeah.
People can't see you.
I'm sorry. I'm just like, I don't know what to say. What to say.
That too, yeah. I don't blame you. Doctors weren't confident that he would pull through, but Patrick did survive, thankfully.
Well,
I mean,
that's good.
It is good. Obviously, his wife and unborn child are not alive, which
Correct.
is not good, but he pulled through. Next, we come to Paul's 52-year-old cousin, Clifford Gabarra, who was also shot, but his wounds were not life-threatening. The massacre continued with Paul shooting his 76-year-old aunt, Raymond Joseph.
Wait, his aunt's name is Raymond?
Not Raymond, Raymond.
So
She's French.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like how like Dominique is the man version in French.
Okay.
So yeah. His aunt, Raymond Joseph, in the shoulder is where he shoots her.
So he wasn't aiming to kill her.
Well, I mean, if you let me continue.
We'll get there.
Her husband and Carol Merhige, his mother, Paul's mother, her brother, Antoine, who was a doctor. Thankfully, there was a doctor in the house.
Oh, good.
Not sure how much good it did, but whatever. He crouched beside his wife on the floor trying to stop the bleeding, but his efforts were in vain because Paul leveled the gun at Raymond's chest and shot her straight through the sternum, killing her.
So why did he aim at her arm? Just to make her in pain until he shot her in the chest?
I doubt he aimed for her shoulder. Like, I don't know if you've ever... Like, I've never fired a gun, but I have studied...
I know there's kickback and everything.
Well, yeah,
I've
but
never
I've
fired one.
I have, in my, like, criminal justice learning career, we talked about stuff like this and how, like, you have to be a really amazing aim. Like, if you are... People will be like, well, why not just, instead of, shooting to kill someone who's holding a gun, why not just, like, shoot it out of their hand? Do you know how hard that is to aim and shoot a hand? That's not what people are trained. People are trained to hit mass, so they're gonna shoot for the torso.
Yeah, they're gonna shoot something that's bigger.
Right, because it's not that easy.
Right. And
I'm sure, I mean, maybe she was just sitting there kind of frozen in, like, terror or, like, what the fuck is happening? But I imagine people were kind of scrambling by this point. He's already shot 4 people.
Yeah, I doubt that people are just
sitting at the table like, well, this is weird.
Just sitting there waiting to see what he does next.
Exactly. So, I doubt he was like, I'm definitely going to go for the shoulder. That's probably just where it landed. Paul then pointed the gun at his uncle and tried to fire twice, but the gun would not fire.
Got stuck.
Both times. At one point during this rampage, Patrick recalled, that's Lisa's husband, he recalled Paul saying to his dad, "I've been waiting 20 years to do this."
Wait a minute. This has been 20 years in the making?
That's literally the name of the episode. A Massacre, 20 years in the making is the name of the episode. So yes.
I'm good at making these names.
Yeah, you're good.
I created the other name, though. I just guessed this one.
You did. But whenever I ask you for help with something like designing a sticker, you're like, I'm not creative. I don't know.
I'm not. It just comes out.
Anyway. Now, after firing upon the adults, Paul inexplicably walked down the hall and into sleeping 6-year-old Michaela's bedroom. He shot her once and exited the room before immediately going back in to shoot her 2 more times.
What the hell? She's 6 years old.
Yeah. Patrick described it later as it was like he walked out of the room and forgot something and then turned around to go grab it real quick.
Oh, she might have survived. Let me go, put 2 more bullets in the 6-year-old.
Right. In all, Michaela was shot in the back, hip, and head. Yeah. There's no reason.
No.
I think
there was no reason to kill a child, let alone shoot it.
There's no
3 times.
reason for any of this. But
granted, but there's definitely no reason to kill a child.
No, of course not. After finishing his very controlled attack, Paul got into his blue 2007 Toyota Camry and disappeared into the night.
So fancy.
Yeah.
He's in a freaking gated community. How did he get out without being noticed?
Well, I mean, you don't need a passcode to get out.
No, I know, but you just shot 17 people?
No, he only shot, 5 people?
And there were 17 people there.
Yeah, but he didn't shoot everybody.
Where'd the rest of them go?
Probably scrambling. I don't know.
They didn't call the police in the time?
I guess not. because I'm assuming they were like, oh my God, what's happening? Hold on, let me get the phone. And just like, I don't know, maybe they were just diving for cover and trying to, go for cover, wait for.
I would just think one of those
he'd leave.
One of those 11 people that disappeared from the scene that didn't get shot would have either notified security on the property, or called the police, or screamed enough that someone else would have called the police. Plus, there's how many gunshots? Neighbors weren't calling the police. There was gunshots in this gated community.
You know what I'm gonna say.
We'll get there. Just saying.
Okay, so let me say something else, and then we'll get to that. We'll touch on that.
Okay.
So before we get to that, it would later come out that Paul had spent $2,000 in the weeks before Thanksgiving on at least 4 guns and ammunition in multiple Broward County gun stores. Let's tighten up those gun laws, okay? He also packed up his clothes and withdrew $12,000 from a bank account for his forthcoming flight from justice. And I'm going to go out on a limb based on what I'm going to tell you in a few minutes and say that he pulled this out of a bank account that was funded by his parents.
Of course.
So now we're going to swing back to you. A surviving family member banged on a neighbor's door begging for help, and neighbors who heard gunshots began calling 911.
Fancy.
So neighbors were calling. People fled the house, I'm guessing, went next door, banging on the door, help us. They called 911 in addition to all these other people who just heard the gunshots.
And the screaming, I assume.
Right. I'm sure it wasn't like, please, no, don't shoot me.
Right. I mean, gated community, people are nosy. People, they want...
People are nosy everywhere.
I know, but even worse in a gated community because they're rich and they don't want noise.
This is how noisy people are. Just normal people like me. We live in an apartment, right? Apartment building where it's all the doors are like inside, like a main door you have to go in,
Correct.
And we're, watching TV after dinner or during dinner or something one night. And we heard like there was some somewhat loud talking coming from like the hallway area. And I'm just reaching over because we watch like YouTube, whatever. And I just reach over and I like pause. And I was just like, what's happening out there? What are they saying? Can you hear that? What are they saying? Can you hear what they're saying? Just like, what's going on? So yeah. And that's just with like slightly raised voices. Not like they were yelling. They were just talking loud enough where you could hear.
Right. Not to mention screaming and gunshots in a very fancy neighborhood.
Right. Exactly. So the police immediately began their manhunt, which was soon to be aided by the U.S. Marshals. But before we catch up with the killer, let's talk about who was Paul Merhige. What led to this catastrophic moment for his family?
And what made him decide 20 years before that he wanted to kill people?
20 years in the making.
20 years that he decided that he wanted to kill his family.
Just let it bubble. And then,
let it bubble. And
you know what?
Finally, I'm coming to Thanksgiving.
It's a good time.
Okay.
I think now works.
What are y'all thankful for?
Right.
You thankful for this meal?
I'm thankful for these guns. No, that was terrible. Anyway.
Right.
So, who was Paul Merhige?
Psycho.
I didn't say what. I said who.
Oh, okay.
Paul Michael Merhige was born in 1974 in Florida to parents Michael and Carol. He would soon be followed by the birth of his twin sisters, Lisa and Carla. Now, I read that he was actually their second child and their second son, but I saw nothing else about another child of theirs. So I don't know if maybe the first son was like stillborn or died young or something, but there was no other mention. So I don't know anything. So if there was an older son, I couldn't see. I didn't see anything.
There's
about
nothing
him.
about him.
Yeah. As a child and teen, Paul was known for being athletic and smart and well-liked. He was a good kid. People liked him. He graduated third in his class from Gulliver Prep in Miami, where he played football as a kicker, which is a very specialized position.
Yes.
Baseball and soccer, as well as he led the French Honor Society.
Ooh.
Yeah. He was known as being driven and mature, handsome and fit, personable and well-liked. And he seemed to be and this is a quote I pulled from an article, success story in the making.
I don't know about all that.
He had it going on. Third in his class. He's a kicker, and he plays baseball and soccer. And he's part of the, he led the French Honors Society. I mean,
at that time, maybe he was a success story.
Got it going on. That's what they were saying. He seemed to
but he didn't follow that path. Apparently.
Right. He didn't. His path that he had laid out for himself was a good one. He pushed himself very hard to succeed, and he had a plan that he wanted to follow and go through with. So his plan was that he would go to the University of Miami and become a doctor. Great plan.
Good plan. Yeah.
Great. Sounds like he had the ability to do so. Mm-hmm. Very smart,
family money to put him through school.
Right. Yeah. It seemed to his classmates that he had everything figured out. Like other people, they're in high school and they're like, I have no idea what I want to study in school. No clue what I want to be when I grow up. Like all of that. But he's like, nope, I'm going to go here. I'm going to study this. I'm going to be this. Bing, bang, boom. I just got to walk that path. Like it's made out. I just have to walk it.
Yep.
He tried to walk it, but he did not make it. Now,
how far did he make it?
Rhonda.
We'll get there.
Before we get there, let me just say, in his high school yearbook, his senior year, Paul devoted an entire page to his family.
Oh,
like there were, the page was filled with family photos from his childhood of like him as a child, his siblings, his parents, just everything. And it also had some endearing remarks about those closest to him, like a couple of paragraphs of writing. Now, of his younger sisters, Paul said, I have been so lucky to be blessed with having twin sisters and being your protective older brother. Of his parents, he said, Mom and Dad, thank you for all you have given me. He finished by saying to all of the 32 family members he wrote about, I love you now and will forever.
So cute.
Very cute. Now, as we alluded to a moment ago, life did not go as Paul had planned, unfortunately. And it's not entirely okay, what he did here, absolutely his fault. Things he's done since what I'm about to say, yes, he has responsibility for. But what happened to make his life not go as he had planned, not his fault. Because his mother reported that he had a breakdown at 19, like a nervous breakdown.
Okay.
While he was in college. And unfortunately, this is actually pretty common. I definitely went through one when I was at SLU. Yeah, it was not a good time. But I already had like mental health issues. And then I think things were just exacerbated, which is normal. Mental illnesses often either are exacerbated or they come out in college when pre-existing conditions can be triggered by stress, the stress of changing from high school to college, and drastic life changes. Maybe you're not living at home anymore. Maybe you're working.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're
no longer a child and you have to,
maybe
fend for yourself.
You have a roommate that you don't know, maybe. Like my freshman year at SLU, I was just like put with somebody to be my roommate that year, the classes are more intense, homework's more intense, like everything's more intense, everything. And you're still like, yes, you are an adult technically, but it's not like as soon as you turn 18, a switch flips In your mind, it's just like, okay, I'm ready. Like, that doesn't happen.
No.
So he had a breakdown. Totally understandable. Not his fault. It happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
According to Dr. Stephen Alexander, former chief psychologist for the Palm Beach Circuit Court, the slide towards violence often starts with a slight, either real or perceived.
Okay.
So someone did something that you didn't like, or you feel like they did something.
Right.
So, it plants its little seed, and it's just kind of there, just lingering in your mind. Okay. It's not like something, you say something that I don't like, and then it's just like, boom, I'm immediately going to shoot you in the face.
I hope not.
It's more of a, right. It's a progression. So in Paul's case, we don't know. Maybe he was jealous of the successes of his sisters. I believe Carla was a real estate agent. And as we said, Lisa was married and, expecting a child. Maybe he was jealous of this because he didn't have any of those things. Maybe he just felt like a failure since his life didn't go as planned and he needed someone else to blame. That happens. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was something else entirely. We don't know. We don't know what the trigger was to make him act out. But whatever it was, what began as a slight became a resentment, which turned into a rage and culminated in the calculated murder of 4 family members.
I thought he killed 5.
No, he killed 4. His sisters, his aunt, and his cousin's daughter.
He tried to kill his father, or his uncle.
He tried to kill his uncle. He tried to kill a cousin.
They survived.
They survived, yes. And tried to kill his brother-in-law. Now, it has also been reported that Paul had, or at least suspected that he had OCD, which would cause him, apparently, this is what I read, it would cause him to revisit those negative feelings from that slight that he got from somebody, like over and over in his mind, like just, focusing on them obsessively, hence the O in OCD.
Right.
Until that bitterness, unhappiness, resentment, whatever you want to call it, built up to the point where it kind of started as a, gosh, what would happen if I killed them? And then he kept obsessing on it more and more until it became a plan with actual ideas on how he was going to do it and where and what exactly he would do to kill them and all that.
Right.
Now, according to medical records that were released after his conviction, Paul told a therapist in 1998, over a decade before this happened, he tells this therapist that he felt his family was obligated to take care of him and that he deserved to move back in with his parents because they needed to, and this is a quote, suffer with him.
How is he suffering?
His mental health issues and what it's doing to his life.
Okay.
Now, in April of, I almost said 1899. Not true. In April of 1999.
100 years before.
Yes. It says 1999. I don't know where that 18 came from. But in April of 1999, Paul tried to kill himself with a shotgun to the chest that grazed one of his lungs. And how he fucking survived that, I could not say.
I don't know how you do that. The shotgun's not small.
It's not, but you can manage. You flip it around. Usually people will be like sitting down, maybe prop it up with their feet, lean forward, use their thumb on the trigger. I've seen a lot of Forensic Files episodes, by the way. You're like, Jesus Christ, have you tried it?
Do I need to worry?
The look on your face as I was describing this, you were like, how does she's got it all figured out for some reason, and I don't know why.
Do you have access to a gun?
I do not, no.
Yes, I know.
Paul, Jesus. Frank does have guns, but they're at his parents' house. And I believe one of them doesn't even work.
That's helpful.
Yeah, right. Am I supposed to throw it at a person who breaks into the house? What's happening? What do I do with this?
It's like the guy at the mummy. From the gun.
Exactly. I'm out of bullets. Just chuck it. So this is in 99. He obviously did not succeed. And then he attempted suicide again in 2005 by swallowing all of the psychotropic pills that he had in his medicine cabinet. So he was, again, he survived, but he had a damn good time. I just want to know, like, A, what were the psychotropics that you took? And B, how many? Because he was probably, like, jiving. Anyways, due to his mental health problems, Paul couldn't hold down a job. It happens, unfortunately. And was supported financially by his parents up until the murders.
Well, you know.
After he was apprehended, because he does get caught, Michael and Carol Merhige refused to hire a private defense lawyer for their son, who wound up being assigned a public defender. So good for you, Mom and Dad, for putting your foot down, having a boundary, and sticking to it. Because don't give him any more of your money.
Right.
Like ever.
Yeah, never.
Maybe if you want to float him a $5 for Christmas for the commissary in prison, that's okay, fine. But yeah, no, don't.
No. It's like my sister asking me to send my brother money.
No.
I have his address if you want to send him money. I'm like,
No.
Funny.
No, thank you.
Not my fault he's there.
Right, exactly. Anyways, he doesn't have shampoo. Not my fault. Sounds like a you problem. Stop getting in trouble. Imagine that. Okay, family trauma aside. Even though Paul wrote beautiful, loving words about his sisters in his high school yearbook, the reality in recent years leading up to this tragedy was quite different, as I'm sure you could imagine. In 2000, Paul sought a restraining order from police after he accused one of his sisters of trying to kill him.
He's trying to kill himself, so
Yeah.
why is he worried about them trying to kill him?
Just before you said that, it floated through my mind, like, why would he care? He literally wants to kill himself.
But he's tried twice. Let her do it.
Well, at this point, he'd only tried once.
Oh, well.
Yeah, the shotgun. So, I'm not... I mean, it's possible, sure. I'm just not seeing it. But anyways, he did eventually drop the request. Now, in 2006... his sister Carla was the one requesting a restraining order after her brother lunged at her and threatened to slit her throat. See, that's a little more forceful of a, not just like, God, I'm going to kill you. Because
Right.
I say that to Frank 3 times a day. But he's not getting a restraining order against me.
Right. Like empty threats versus actual,
It's
threat.
It's not even just empty threats. It's literally just like the brand of humor between us. Where he does something ridiculous and I'm just like, I'm gonna kill you.
Right. I've been on the other end of that
Right.
before.
She too wound up dropping the request and the family instead opted for counseling.
Okay.
Not sure you can counsel around death threats, but okay. In family counseling sessions, the sisters said that they used to get along with their brother, but since his severe bout of depression at the age of 19, the relationship had deteriorated drastically. Obviously, with the death threats and all.
Well, yeah.
I can't imagine having a great relationship with your brother and also having death threats thrown back and forth. Yeah.
No.
Now, interestingly, this was not the first instance of familicide in the Merhige family. In 1973, a paternal aunt of Paul's committed the unthinkable act herself. Salva Merhige Adams had been a talented opera singer before giving it all up to be a stay-at-home wife and mother.
Oh, such a sacrifice.
Right. She married James Adams, a pilot, and the couple had 2 children, Jack and Melissa. After 19 years of marriage, James left his wife for a flight attendant, and the pair divorced.
Well,
could you be more of a stereotype?
I wasn't going to say it, but since you did.
I wasn't going to say it, but yeah, that.
Wasn't going to.
Yeah. Now, just after the final divorce proceeding, Salva invited James to the family home to talk. Why he went, couldn't tell you, but he did. And what James did not know when he arrived was that his now ex-wife had packed their 2 children and the family dog into the car so the house would be empty. And the only way I can make this work in my mind where he didn't see them in the car was that the car was in the garage.
That makes sense.
That's the only thing in that, because I was like, how did he walk by the car and not notice his children in the car?
Unless the entrance to the house is not past the driveway.
Do you live in a castle? Where are you living? So in the master bedroom, Salva, also, why are you going into the master bedroom with your ex-wife after your divorce proceedings? Why is any of this happening?
Maybe she had something to give him.
I will wait here in the living room. You can go and get it and bring it back to me. I'm not being lured into your bedroom, ex-wife. So in the master bedroom, Salva shot her ex-husband 4 times in the chest with a .38 revolver. She then brought 14-year-old Jack into the house, where she emptied the gun into him.
What?
Finally, she brought 10-year-old Melissa inside, where she shot and killed her as well.
What the hell?
Salva then took a handful of barbiturates and died after being in a coma for 5 days.
What happened to the dog?
I don't know. I didn't
He just got left in the
see
car?
anything about the dog. I'm thinking maybe she put the dog in there just in case. Some dogs are just very protective and, will react to things. And maybe she just didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah, but somebody had to let the dog out. Or did she shoot him too?
I didn't read anything about her killing the dog too. So I don't know.
But I mean, I will watch any movie if the dog lives.
Oh, yeah. I remember once upon a time we were starting to watch Amityville Horror, and I was just there was a dog in the family that came about, and I was like, wait a minute, does this dog die? Because if so, I'm not watching the rest of this. And I remember another time I was thinking about watching the movie I Am Legend, and I was like, have you seen it? Yeah. Does the dog die? Yeah. Okay, well then I'm not interested. I was like, I need to know right now if the dog dies.
I mean, it was bad enough in Game of Thrones when they killed Lady.
At least they didn't show it.
At least they didn't show it, yes. But she actually adopted her dog.
She did, yes.
It's very sweet.
But yeah, I didn't see anything about the dog. Back to Paul. After going on the run, an arrest warrant was issued for Paul Merhige for 4 counts of first-degree murder and 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder. Also, a $10,000 reward was offered for information leading to his arrest. On January 2nd, 2010, so just a couple months later, the owners of the Edgewater Lodge Motel in the Florida Keys recognized a patron of the motel from an episode of America's Most Wanted. And they contacted the police. The man staying in room 14, he had checked in under the name John Baca and had prepaid in cash for 2 weeks.
Of course he wasn't going to put a credit card down.
I mean, he got that 12,000 in cash outs.
Right.
Just got to use it. Now, U.S. Marshals evacuated the hotel and broke down the door to room 14. It was barricaded with a mattress and a large bar. I don't know what kind of bar or where it came from, but all I saw was that it was a large bar.
I'm thinking an alcohol bar, a piece of furniture, but that's not going to be in the hotel room.
I doubt it. See, I was thinking a metal bar.
Yeah, like a crowbar.
Like a crowbar, but bigger.
Right. That's what I assume it was. More of a metal bar of some sort.
Right.
But when you first said it was blocked with a bar, I'm like, how'd they get a bar in the hotel room?
What kind of hotel are you staying at where there's just a whole ass bar in your room?
Right. I mean, they're in the Keys. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. It is Florida. Florida gonna Florida.
Yep.
When the authorities barged in, Paul, this is Rich, he yelled, "Don't shoot me!" Yeah. Why not? What's the problem? He also needed to be tased 3 times before cooperating and allowing himself to be apprehended, which does bring me a tiny amount of joy.
That he was tased 3 times?
Yeah. You know what? Good.
Good.
You deserve it. Paul had gone out of his way to elude capture by shaving his head, growing out his beard, just like a little, it wasn't like a big scruffy beard. It was just, longish stubble. And he changed the plates on his car, as well as he used a car cover that he purchased before Thanksgiving to hide his car, like when it was parked. Mm-hmm. When I first read that, I was like, how is he covering his car and like driving places? Like, is it just like a piece of thing that you like put over your car and there's like holes for the eyes? Just, and then I'm like, oh, dumbass. Like a car cover you get like for the winter. Right. So you don't have like snow on your car. I was really getting into it. Like, oh, he like got this contraption that like sits over your thing and it just like, changes the color of your car, maybe the look of it a little bit, but you don't have to paint it.
You were going all high tech.
I was way out there. And then I was like, oh, no, ding-a-ling. Just the car protector. Just that little cover. Anyway, it seemed like Paul was beginning to lay the groundwork for an insanity defense almost immediately upon his capture. He rambled about not knowing how he could do what he had done, and he told the America's Most Wanted cameras, which were on site for his arrest for some reason, 18 years I've been tormented. I've had chronic medical problems, mental problems. It's been a nightmare. I don't even know what I was doing. I was waiting for my parents to maybe make a statement and tell me to turn myself in. I didn't know what to do. I just can't believe I've done all this.
Poor baby.
Wah. Why do you need to wait for your parents to make a statement telling you to turn yourself in? Just do it.
Right. You shut up the family. Go turn yourself in.
Yeah. I mean, if you were going to like be listening to your parents, I'm going to go out on a limb and say they would have told you, don't shoot people.
Right.
After his capture, he rambled to police about how hard it was to reconcile what happened and how it didn't seem like it could be real because he was not violent. He said, I've never been violent.
Bullshit.
Well, you apparently lunged at your sister and threatened to slice her throat. You shot yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are 2 instances of violence, I would say.
You shot a 6-year-old 3 times.
Yeah.
A sleeping
but
6-year-old.
But before that, he was never violent. Uh-huh. Now, initially, Paul pleaded not guilty at his February 2nd arraignment. The defense planned to present an insanity defense and planned to call experts on schizophrenia, which he did not have, so I don't know why, and OCD. But Paul's own actions worked against him. Leading up to his August 8th, 2011 trial, Paul made it perfectly clear that he'd been harboring grudges against members of his family for over a decade. 3 months before the trial, Paul decided to accept a plea deal that would spare him the death penalty.
Oh, darn, you won't get killed, but you killed everybody else.
He pleaded guilty to all charges in exchange for 7 life sentences. He also waived any rights to appeal his conviction, which is key. I think that's a big factor here. The family of the victims needed to agree to the plea deal, which some, including Lisa's husband, Patrick, did. He's like, I want to get past this part of my life and try to move on. Mm-hmm. He lost his wife, his unborn child.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to sit in that anymore. I get it. However, Jim Sitton, Michaela's father, was not happy with the deal, to say the least, which I can understand.
Right.
He literally begged the judge and the prosecutors to take Paul to trial so there was a chance for the death penalty. He literally dropped to his knees at one point, begging for them to go to trial anyway. Now, interestingly, the circuit judge's own pregnant wife had been shot and killed in 1994. So he had some advice from a place of, I've been there,
Right.
to give the family. So basically what he said was, well, to quote, he said, I make sure that I go out and do my best to live a good life every day. And I try to remember every good thing I did. I believe one day I'll see them again, and I want to remember to be able to tell them this is what I did on this day. So essentially, like, I don't want to focus on the bad, on revenge, etc. I'd rather focus on doing good. And when I see them again, I can be like, look at all the good I was able to do.
Right.
You know?
I didn't
fall apart.
I didn't waste my life trying to get revenge.
I didn't crumble into grief. I didn't, lose myself with, revenge, blah, blah, blah. That's what I took away from that.
Yes.
Nevertheless, the decision to accept a plea deal shattered the Sitton family's faith in the justice system.
Sure.
Because they did accept it. Now, after Paul's imprisonment, both Patrick Knight, who, remember, lost his wife and unborn child, and Muriel and Jim Sitton, who lost their daughter and mother/mother-in-law, filed separate lawsuits against Michael and Carol Merhige, claiming they knew their son was a danger and failed to notify or protect their relatives from him. What say you on that before I tell you what happened with that?
I mean, she had a suspicion.
But I don't know that it was like legitimately like, oh my God, he's coming. What if he kills her?
I don't think they are to blame.
No.
That they should have been sued for it.
But I feel like the comment she made, her and her daughter, I feel like that was not necessarily like a haha funny joke. It was just like a off the cuff thing because they know that he's had these issues. They as a family have had issues. I feel like it was just like one of those inappropriate little jokes, elbow jokes you make.
Yeah, I don't think she was necessarily serious, but she did have an inkling. It's kind of half serious, half joking type
exactly.
things.
Just kind of like, elbow.
Hoping it's more on the joking side than, comes out to be.
Yeah, I'm sure if she was like, oh God, he's going to come and kill us all, she wouldn't have been like, hey, so Paul's coming, gonna kill us all. It's fine.
We'll be good.
Yeah. So yeah.
I don't think they should have filed a separate lawsuit against them just because it's your son. Doesn't mean you were responsible for his doing.
Right.
And obviously, if they're all family and they're all willing to get together for Thanksgiving, they're aware of the family drama.
Right. And, he at one point called and was like, hey, I'm on my way. And it's a gated community. So you have to either have a code to get in, have like your name on a list that the guard at the gate can bring you in, whatever. It's not, you can just roll in.
You have to have a way to get in.
So at the end of the day, I feel like the Sittons, Muriel and Jim, who owned the house where this happened, had the ability to be like, no, I don't want him to come.
Right.
Because surely you know about the strife between the family members. You're his cousin.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They know about the drama. So why would you let him come?
Right.
If you're not comfortable with him being there.
Right. You know that he is estranged from the family. He's had these issues. I don't believe they wouldn't have known that.
And especially with a young child, especially a young girl, I am very particular on who comes to my house.
Yeah.
So if this person is very estranged from the family and I don't trust him and I don't know, if I don't feel comfortable around him, he's not coming to my house where my child is.
Right. Like, I feel like, and this is not at all to put the blame on them for what happened. Like, not at all. I'm just saying they could have said, no, he is not welcome to come here.
Right. Nobody's at fault.
I can't believe that he just like knocked on the door and was like, hey, I'm here.
Right. He said he was coming. He got permission to go into the gate somehow.
Somehow he got
whatever the procedures were.
Right.
And then he came to the house.
Right. Just because they didn't know well beforehand. Nobody knew beforehand. He just called his mother that day and was like, hey, I'm on my way.
Right.
So nobody knew before that day that he was coming.
Right.
Even his parents. he had talked about it and like asked questions, but he never until that day said, I'm coming.
Mm-hmm. And when he was starting to ask questions about it, if he wasn't welcome, I'm sure, she would have said something to the host of the party. Hey, Paul might come.
Well, apparently they didn't. Apparently they didn't say anything. And probably because he wasn't coming to family functions.
That's true.
So why would they think he would come? Maybe he was just asking questions. I don't know. Maybe he was going to like try to sob story. I'd be like, oh, you guys are all getting together for Thanksgiving and I'm not going to be there. And, maybe he's trying to get more money out of his parents. I don't know.
I mean, they're already supporting you. What else?
Right.
Get?
So they filed these 2 separate lawsuits. But a judge ruled that no court in Florida has ever held a parent responsible for the actions of their adult children and tossed both lawsuits in 2012.
Good.
They said that, they being the judges, they said that the Merhiges had, quote, no legal right or ability to control the actions of their son. He is a grown-ass man. He's 35 years old. Like, he is in a place in his life where he should be able to make his own decisions and be responsible for those.
Right.
And like, yes, you are my child, but I am not the reason for your behavior, not the reason for your actions. It is not my fault that you did this. Mm-hmm. You made the decision.
Right. Like I always say, you can blame your childhood and your growing up for so much.
Right.
And then it becomes your responsibility.
Right.
You can only blame your upbringing so long.
Right. Obviously it stays with you. I can attest to that. You can attest to that.
Obviously it stays with you, but you have a point where you have to make decisions for yourself on how to proceed with your life.
It can change who you are going to become as you grow up.
Yes.
But those actions you take are still on you because people who have been in the exact same position I was in, exact same position you were in, grew up differently. You have a twin who could not be more different than you. You are the most responsible person I've ever known, and your twin
is in prison.
Right. So,
but I'm supposed to send him money.
Right. Shampoo. You guys clearly grew up together.
Clearly.
You are twins. You grew up together in the same situation, and the two of you grew up became so different as adults.
Because he used our upbringing as an excuse. And I used my upbringing as a reason to do better.
To be stronger.
Yes. Two different ways
to work hard. Exactly. So, yeah. Your upbringing can fundamentally change you, but what you do with that changed you is on you.
Right.
So, 10 years after the massacre, local news checked in with the Sittons, the only family members that we really know anything about after the events of the trial. Michaela's parents recalled that, and this is a quote, all the joy and laughter and little girl giggles left us a cold, empty house. And I'm sure it was a big house, too.
I'm sure.
But in the years to come, the Sittons decided that they wanted to be parents again. Now, conceiving would not be easy, as Muriel was in her late 40s at this point. But is for bad things. However, in 2010, their prayers were answered in the form of a new baby girl, Natalia Grace.
Aww.
2 years later, baby Rayla, another girl, arrived to complete the family. So they have two new girls. Jim and Muriel still live in the home where their daughter was murdered, saying that one awful night can't erase the years of happiness spent with Michaela in that home. And they don't think they'd ever be able to move from that house where Michaela's room remains untouched.
I was going to say, have they touched the room yet?
No. And that is the story, the horrendous story of Paul Merhige and the massacre that was 20 years in the making.
Scary.
Thoughts, comments, queries, concerns?
Don't go to family functions.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that at the end. Yeah, pretty atrocious. I will say, if you have an inkling enough to make a cutesy little joke about, oh, I hope he doesn't come kill everyone. And again, this is not to blame the parents.
Right.
Just
don't let him come.
Yeah. I know boundaries are hard.
They are.
I get it. But, life. His feelings in the matter are not more important than the safety of other people.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Hurt someone's feelings if you think they're a danger. And
right.
Again, it's not at all to put any amount of blame on his parents. Because obviously, this is not their fault.
Right.
Just, hindsight is 20/20.
Yes.
So, for whoever needs to hear it, there you go. Yeah. All right. Well, now that we've done that and we are thoroughly bummed out, let's crack open the chamber. The decompression chamber. Not the chamber of secrets. That one can stay closed.
Yes, that one can stay closed.
All right. So it's my turn. And I have for us, it's pretty short, a story that I saw. A lot of these are stories that I get at work because we have access to the Post-Dispatch and one of the local news stations websites just on our homepage. So I look at the news every day and I'll look for some cutesy. Obviously, most of it is these people were murdered. This car crash happened. This, terrible, this fire, all this kind of shit. This person's missing. Silver alert, amber alert, blah, blah, blah. But
what the news is 95% of the time.
But sometimes there are some gems. And this is one of them. I thought it was cute. And this was at the end of October that this was posted. It's from Englewood, Colorado.
Okay.
And it starts off by saying, a runaway cow led sheriff's deputies on a wild chase through a Colorado neighborhood and playground Sunday morning.
It had to be on Sunday morning.
Yeah. According to the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office, deputies, the owner of the cow, and some cowboys tried to wrangle a cow that hightailed it from the pasture and ended up in a residential neighborhood in Englewood.
I want to live in Arapahoe County.
Yeah. I'm a Arapahoe. No.
It just sounds fun.
It does sound fun.
What county do you live in? I live in Arapahoe County.
Arapahoe. What's another one that sounds fun? The county where Phoenix is. I can't think of it.
Maricopa.
Yeah, that's a fun one to say. Maricopa County. Maricopa County. Anyways. And there's a video that is attached to the story, which I obviously cannot show at this point in time. But in the video, you can see the cow kind of swerving, going left, going right, making its way over some people's lawns, slipping past some cars, and eventually bolts down the street, as obviously these people are trying to catch it. And this is the real pièce de résistance. In a Facebook post made by the sheriff's office, they said, and this is a quote, "The stakes, STEAKS, were high, and we didn't want to butcher this slow speed chase, but this cow was moving."
The police have jokes.
Yeah, I'm not always one for dad jokes, but it was cute.
The police got jokes.
It depends on the dad joke, but yeah, it was cute. The cow was later cornered in a small playground and herded back to its trailer. And the sheriff's office said on a Facebook post, "Holy cow, you all did an utterly good job. Now let's milk this for all it's worth." I just thought it was cute. Yeah.
Cow jokes.
The stakes were high. I just love they called it a slow speed chase. But yeah, there's a little video attached to it of this cow was like, "Bitch, I'm gonna go wherever I fucking want."
Reminds me of coming back. We were coming back home from we did a little weekend trip, and coming back home on 70, right around Uranus, Missouri. The only reason I know that that's where we were is because we had went to the fudge factory. And
would you like your fudge packed tight in a box or loose in a bag? That's what they
Anyway,
ask you.
That is what they ask you. We were driving back 70 coming east, and I'm like, what's in the road? We slowed down, and there's like 5 cows just like walking down the road in the middle of freaking 70.
Now, were they crossing it or were they walking along the road?
They were walking in the middle of the road, and then they ended up crossing it because there was other cows that had already crossed.
Gotcha.
We had to make a full stop on Highway 70 because these cows were just standing in the road.
It's not dangerous at all.
No. I don't know.
But this reminds me that on my next decompression chamber, I should talk about when Frank and I went to Uranus. Because we went there and went to like all the stuff.
I got scared to death on the little, put your hand in this thing. If it says put your hand in it.
And it's a hole, don't do it.
Expect something to happen.
But, and I have pictures that I can also post to go along with it. So we should do that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was my cute and short decompression chamber story.
Adorable.
So yeah, watch your cows. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Macabre Storytime. To stay in the know on all things macabre, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Macabre Storytime. Or you can email us at macabrestorytime@gmail.com.
If you're interested in supporting the show, head on over to our Patreon page. The address is patreon.com/macabrestorytime. Patrons get exclusive access to early releases of our weekly episodes, bonus episodes, behind-the-scenes content, and even stickers.
Woo! They are ordered. They are shipped.
Do I get a set?
I guess.
Do I gotta buy my own?
But no. But they are en route.
Okay.
I got the shipping notification.
And,
High five.
And with subscriptions starting as low as $1 a month, it's practically free to support us.
I mean, seriously, you would not notice $1 missing.
No, you would not.
And
it would help
us.
It would help us.
It's us, your buddies, your pals, your compadres. If you can't sign up to be a patron, that's okay. You can help support the show by rating, reviewing, and sharing it. Doing this does so much to help boost the show, and of course, we appreciate it so much.
Yes.
Once again, thanks for listening. And until next time, I'm going to say, if you or anyone in your family has beef of any kind with another member of the family, no family gatherings.
Of those people, at least.
Like, just nobody. If your family has any amount of negativity in it, no family gatherings.
Okay, my family's out.
So no family gatherings of any kind will ever be had again.
No gatherings.
No gatherings. All right. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
That was Claude.